Hello, good day, and welcome to our first YouTube live video. In today's session, I'll be sharing with you the best way or the perfect way to prepare your own curriculum vitae or a resume. As a young graduate coming out from college and hoping to gain any employment opportunity from any institution, you have to think about your CV or your cover letter as an advertisement target towards your potential employers. If you are a job applicant too, you have to take into consideration your CV or your resume as an employment advertisement tool towards your potential employers. In today's session, I'll be sharing with you the perfect way on how to prepare your curriculum vitae or a resume. First of all, let's talk about the meanings of these two words, a CV and a resume. Most of the times, a lot of people use them or see them mean the same words, but they are not the same. A CV is different from a resume. A CV, which is an abbreviation of curriculum vitae, is a document that contains a job applicant's uh, details or information, such as the applicant's educational background, work experience, skills, abilities, achievements, and any other information that may be requested by the employer. A resume, on the other hand, is a one-page summary of an applicant's details, such as educational background, work experience, skills and abilities, and any other details that may be requested by the employer. And that details should be specifically related to the position the applicant is applying for. For a resume can contain different work experiences and skills. For instance, you can prepare a resume with a secretarial experience, an accountant's experience, an HR experience, a sales personnel experience. But that of a resume is only a specific document. A resume contains only the details that are related to the position or vacancy you are seeking to occupy or apply. So the major difference between a CV and a resume are their length, content, and the type of job each is used to apply for. Even though both documents, that is a CV and a resume, are all used to apply for different job vacancies, but they are not the same. A CV is different from a resume. When it comes to length, a CV has no maximum number of pages, but that of a resume, it has a minimum of one page and a maximum of two. This is the difference between a CV and a resume. Now let's get down to the details involved when preparing these two documents. The details involved when preparing a CV are your personal information, your educational background, your work experience, your skills, your abilities, and if possible, references, which is also very important. Your references are also very important. Now let's take them one after the other and digest them. The personal details. The personal details here are four. The personal details here are your full name, your email address, your location, as in your postal address or where you stay, for instance, the town, and your contact information, that is your phone number. Your full name, your name should be in your full name, and your email address should be in your name. Avoid using email addresses that contain your name. It's unprofessional. Make sure that the email you are using to apply for the job is in your full name or your name. And the location, if you don't have a postal address, you can input the name of the town you stay or live. And when it comes to the contact details you have to input, that is your phone number, should be phone numbers that are traceable. Avoid adding contacts that the employer will find it difficult reaching out to you. Details, these are the four main details or personal information you need to add when preparing your CV or resume. You don't have to add your gender, because when the employer looks at your name, he or she will know that the person applying for this vacancy is either if a male or a female through looking at your name. So you don't have to add gender or sex when applying for job vacancies. You don't also have to add your languages. Languages spoken are not supposed to come under your CV or your resume. You and I know that English is the major language that is used in every institution or organization. So there's no need for you to include or add languages to your document when preparing your CV or your resume. And when it comes to, let's say, religion, hometown, age, and any other additional information, you don't have to add them. Adding adding these details on your CV may bring grounds to discrimination towards you. So you don't have to add them when preparing your CV or your resume. And the next aspect is, after adding your personal information, the next aspect is your personal profile. The personal profile here is a short summary that entails what you have to offer when the employer employs you. For instance, your personal profile can contain a brief background about yourself, who you are, what you have, what you can do, and a short summary of your skills and your experiences, and if possible, your educational background. This is a this is how you prepare your personal profile aspect of your CV or resume, and it should not exceed 6 lines. The maximum should be 6 lines. After your personal profile, the next aspect is your educational background, which is also very important. Under the educational background, you first start by adding the names of the schools you have attended, the years you started, and the year you completed, and include you the certificates you acquired in each of the schools. This is how you prepare your educational background on your statement on your CV. Sorry, no statement of purpose. Today we are talking about CV writing. This is how you prepare your educational background on your CV or resume. So before you start your educational background aspect, you first start with your latest educational history. For instance, if the university is your latest educational background, you start with the education. You start with the university, the name of the university, the year you started, and the year you graduated, and the course you studied, and if possible, your grade point, the CGPA you had, then you attached it to the education, then followed by your secondary education, and if possible, your junior high. But there are some recruiters who always do not want their applicants to include basic education, that is your junior high and senior high, to your CVs. So, when preparing your CV, it is very important to glance through the job description of your employer to know what exactly the employer is looking for before adding any additional information to your document. After your educational background, the next aspect is uh, your work experience. The work experience is the major part of your document. That is the major part of your CV or your resume. In fact, when you get this place right, you are likely to be called in for an interview. But imagine getting it wrongly. You will only be discarded in the first round review of the interview session during from the interview session of your employer. As I said earlier, during my discussion or during my speech on the educational aspect, on the work experience, you start with your latest work experience history. You start with the name of the company, the position you held, the year you started working with them, and the year you completed. And if possible, you include achievement and duties. Achievement and duties are not the same. Your duties are the day-to-day activities you performed during your time in the office or during your time with the company. And achievements are extra duties you performed during your time with the company. For instance, if you are working as a sales personnel in the company, you can there may be some time that you were able to increase sales by a certain percentage. So during your CV preparation, you have to include it as part of your achievement. This is how you prepare your work experience aspect on your CV or resume. After stating your earliest or latest work experience, then you follow it by the other work experiences you have performed or you have worked with, the other companies and organizations you have worked with. This is how you include or prepare your work experience aspect on your CV or resume. Then, after the educational background, you state your skills and your experiences, which is also very important. Your skills and experiences also determine whether you'll be called in for an interview or not. Your skills and experience aspect are what you have to offer when your employer calls you in for employment or when the employer hands over the appointment letter to you. Your skills and abilities are what you have to offer when they employ you in the company. So it's very important to specifically state the major skills and abilities you possess and avoid lying on your CV. We'll talk about it in our next live video. That is mistakes and errors when preparing your CV. After the skills and abilities aspect, you then indicate your referees or references. Your referees are people your employer may contact in case he or she wants to verify the information you have provided. You include you include your referees. Your referees are people your employer may contact in case he or she wants to verify the information you have provided. To state your referees, you have to add the person's full name, where he or she works, the position that he or she is holding, and his email and contact address. This is how you prepare your referees aspect. There is a difference between a referee and a reference. These two words are not the same. A referee is an actual person you can put down on your CV or resume who can vouch for the details or information you have provided on your document, that is your CV or your resume. And a reference is a written statement or a document presented to you by a company you have worked with or your academic school you have attended to show that you have really attended the school or to show that you have really worked with that organization. This is the major difference between a reference and a referee. So these are the details involved when preparing a resume or a CV. There may be other additional information such as leadership positions held and any other extracurricular activities. If you have any of these additional information, then you create a column for it. This is how you prepare your CV or your resume for jobs and employment. Your CV and your resume are very important. So when you spend much time preparing it, you will be called in for an interview in no time. But imagine spending a lesser time to and coming out with a poorly organized CV. Your guess is as good as mine. You will only be discarded in the first round review from your employer's desk because employers spend few minutes scanning each CV in front of them. So it is important for you to spend much time preparing your document to avoid any unforeseen circumstances on the desk of your employer. So if you submit a good document, you will convince the recruiter to spend much time on your document. But imagine submitting a poorly organized one. You get the point now. So always make sure that you prepare the best and tailored CV for applications. A tailored CV here means that preparing your CV to suit what your employer is looking for. If your employer is looking for a specific details or information, you prepare your CV or your resume to suit exactly what the information from your employer's job description seeks you or asks you to do. This is how you tailor your CV. In our next video, I'll speak about all these things, tailoring of CV, mistakes to avoid when preparing your CV, and any other information needed to prepare your CV. This is my first live video on YouTube, and I want you to watch it and share your views in the comment section for me. This is AG Professional Services. At AG Professional Services, we do it right. I really appreciate your time and thank you for watching. In our next live video, I'll be speaking about mistakes to avoid when preparing your CV or a resume. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.